Hello and welcome to Camberg. This is Dresden's Tale, episode 47, chapter 45 of volume 2. This is a show where we follow Dresden Fane, quickly becoming one of the most influential dwarves in fantasy. That's right, we are legends in our own minds. Our story exists in the violence of the Keld culture, a land where the bards are still horny, but so is everybody else. I'm your guide through this shadowy landscape, Lewis Nichols. Wow, chapter 45 coming up. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty of volume 2. It's too bad we don't have a little more time to spend in Camberg. It really is a beautiful city. Some say Kelds are most at home in the mountains, making this prime real estate. The city ranges from elevations of 2,000 to 2,700 feet. It's essentially built on 6 levels. As you would expect, there is a degree of social stratification according to altitude. The top is largely administrative, with pretty much only the chief's family living there, although that's a pretty damn big family. The next 2 levels down are the home of several more clan founders and a few temples. The obelisk of Omadon is located in front of a towering temple in his honor. One can occasionally see gargoyles at its heights. These upper warrens are built in granite. Fine woods accent the stony structures. The richest buildings boast columns wrapped in gold leaf and eaves tipped by marble statuary. The lowest level of the city are the docks, the absolute high point where big ships, relatively speaking, can sail. It's nice down here, but wood is the rule and function stands above luxuriance. This is a foreign quarter where non-Campbells are encouraged to stay. But you don't want to hear me spoil all the city secrets. You want to experience Camberg as Dresden does. Far be it for me to get caught dialoguing. This is Biona's High Holy Day, Ebba's 18th, 2,052 years after the fall. Ralph grabbed Dresden by his collar, yanking him back out of the way. "Get out of the street, Rockhead!" a passing carriage driver yelled, shaking his fist violently at the newcomers. "You are oblivious," the winged warrior groaned. "Where to?" Karen asked. Orn let out a grunt. Dresden, you're the one who's been here. Where do we go?" The dwarf turned and stared. "I was here for an hour. I didn't exactly have time to sightsee." They took a long look around. Camberg was nestled in a mountain valley cut by a river. The city sprawled, nestled against sheer cliff walls at its upper reaches. Monumental buildings loomed upslope. Large estates claimed land where the gradient allowed. Where the Gaelic became navigable, buildings became densely packed. It was crowded where they stood, and they were expecting the whole city to be the same. "Travelers are restricted to the port area," a guardsman called out. Dresden was ready for the Campbell to give them trouble, but the human didn't even wait to see if the small group of 6 complied. Dresden started in the opposite direction. He thought he recognized a short tower that served as a stairwell up to the next level of the city. "Even if they won't let us through, we'll need to let them know we're here." "I actually agree," Donald told Karen and Orn when they looked to complain. "There has to be some procedure." "He's just looking for a fight," Orn said, worried that they'd be questioned with every passing moment. He had to help Donald up the steep steps of the tower. It wasn't really made for anybody with more than 2 legs. There was a nearby ramp that would have been easier, but Dresden was on a mission. "I wouldn't mind a little scuffle," Liz admitted. Karen let out her best grunt. "We're warriors. Fighting is what we do. It would be nice if he slowed down." "Oh, he's headed for those winding steps against the cliff. I know we're warriors, but he's just doing it because of that girl. He's looking for somebody to put him out of his misery," Orn insisted. "Don't be an idiot. Dresden's tough. He'll be fine. Come on, Dinger, keep up." Karen managed to get Dresden to bring Fanghorn along. It wasn't going to happen until the Minotaur offered to pay. Then Dresden acquiesced, but wouldn't take his money. He did take compensation from 2 other travelers, but nobody was sure if he made a good deal. One warrior gave him a good-looking steel-headed mace with quality leatherwork around the grip. The last paid in coin, more than Karen had ever seen handed over to a second-season warrior. "You shouldn't talk to Fanghorn like that. You can't boss people around," Orrin told her. "Mind your business, Ringkeeper," Dinger told him. "Oh yeah, if she was bossing, I'd have knocked her cold." Karen laughed at the threat of violence. "You'd have tried. Now tell them about that fisherman you told me about this morning." They caught up with Dresden standing silently in front of a 12-foot black stone. They'd all encountered the holy obelisks. Most of the major cities had several. No matter how many times one encountered such powerful magic, it was impossible not to be impressed. The stone was ruin-covered, known to stabilize the city's geology. It had many more effects than just stopping slides and rockfalls. Just the incredible presence of the monolith was humbling. Without a word, Dresden was on the move again, making for a steep, chiseled way that most travelers seemed to be avoiding. "Okay, now tell the story," Karen badgered. Dinger grumbled. "I don't think your friends like my stories as much as you do. Not your commander, anyway," Ralph squawked, sparing one last glance at the obelisk. "He doesn't like you because you call him commander, but I don't think he likes your stories either. He's okay, loyal to a fault, and sometimes I think he's just a little bit closer to the gods than the rest of us." "Oh yeah, I think maybe you're right about that." Fanghorn came to a stop with the group and studied a big open space where the road led right up against a cliff face. "Huh, we're here." Dresden made a quick survey of the area. The magical gate connecting Moldav to Vul was just a flat spot of vertical rock. The granite wall was marked with a spiral of lighter stone. Vines, rooted in pockets of soil above the rocky slab, grew down and possibly through the gate, though Dresden wasn't entirely sure how that would work. 50 feet up, where the ground became more horizontal, sat a keep. Defensive structures flanked the gate at ground level, and what he could only call a castle was situated at the other end of the square. Donald shivered. The temperature had noticeably dropped during their ascent. The Equirta put his hand on the dwarf's shoulder. "Dresden, let me. Of all of us, my travel papers are probably the most legitimate." Dresden waved his hand and watched him go. "Thanks for bringing Fang along," Karen told him, but he didn't move. Instead, the dwarf just stood there like a statue until Donald came back. 2 days, maybe. They're having problems with food supplies on the other side. Icterian naval raiders are disrupting their fishing fleets." "Did you tell them we're making for Brave Rock?" "Yes." "And we weren't depending upon them for food our clan will provide?" It didn't seem to matter. Back at the docks, Fanghorn negotiated for a crew of attendants and the exclusive use of a small indoor pool. Donald worried over what disease energies the murky bathwater might hold, but no one else seemed to care. In the dim light, they submerged themselves in the tepid water. "They're whores?" Ralph suddenly realized. "I'm usually pretty good about spotting these things." He turned back to the human woman scrubbing his wings. "You're a whore?" The woman nodded. She wasn't Moldav born, but the pterodon didn't feel like asking her about her past. Instead, he just guided her back to a dark corner. Meanwhile, Dresden was laid back on a shallow shelf. He'd knocked off the biggest chunks of mud and stink. The rest would come off when it was done with him. His eyes were closed as he fantasized about what might be happening on the other side of that magical gate. The future was a welcome distraction from the past. He thought, just maybe, he'd escaped his pain. "Oh yeah, I've been in the north for a while," Fanghorn told anyone who'd listen. "The northern clans are a strange bunch. The shit they do is just as crazy as the shit we do down south. They just keep it behind closed doors, that's all. Oh yeah, Chief Campbell won't fuck outside his marriage, but he's got 20 wives or more," he bellowed. "Oh, she's here. Here we go." "Fang, what did you do?" Donald sounded worried. Dresden opened his eyes to see a pretty Renaïenne slip into the water and approach him. She wore a dangling chain from her ear to her nostril, and nothing else. The only way to properly thank a warrior for some much-needed help. Enjoy, Dresden! The woman took a cloth and began to clean the dwarf. He didn't resist. Are you sure this is a good idea? Orn fretted as the amphibian kissed their leader. Oh yeah, come on. You said he was into the R's. Leave him in peace. Ah, snap. I'm with Orn. I've got a bad feeling about this. Why didn't somebody stop him? It's too soon. Probably too soon. All right. Okay. It's going to be fine. Let's talk about something else. What did you think about Camberg? Pretty nice city. About 20,000 inhabitants with another 3,000 just across the gate. It's the third biggest city in the Empire after Parncilia and Clayton. It's the domain of the Campbell clan, though there are, of course, many visitors and a few permanent residents from the other clans. Mind you, it's not a particularly Gaelic city. There are more than you might see in the southern cities, but not by much. The natives, many of whom themselves have only returned in the last few years, are truly a separate group. Officially, Campbell by clan, but barely sharing in the clan's prosperity. I'm sure that'll never be an issue. Certainly won't be today. And speaking of today, thanks for stopping by. You didn't have to listen, but you did, and I appreciate it. Do the stuff. Like, subscribe, comment, and tell your friends. I'm Lewis Nichols, and I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day.